Hello again, I'm Cliff, N4CCB, and today I want to talk about QRP radios. Now, chances are pretty good you've already got a QRP radio, whether you've got a small one like this or whether you just have your normal HF radio that you've turned the power down. The best QRP radio in the world is the best radio in the world with the power turned down. You really think about it, it really comes down to the receivers. The transmitters are the same. The same signal you transmit today, you could output that same signal from a rig that's 20 years old. Nobody knows the difference on the other end. But for the receiver, you know the difference because the modern technology has made the modern receivers so much better than they used to be. So what I have here in front of me are a number of QRP radios that I have, that I own. And I'd like to just kind of talk to you about each one. First of all, the idea of QRP is just to turn the power down, right? So you can work QRP with your existing radio here in your ham shack. You don't have to go out into the field and do anything like that. But I enjoy that, and going out and operating on battery power out in the field kind of goes hand in hand with QRP. So if you're into that, like I am, great. If not, here are some fun little rigs that you might think about taking with you on vacation or while you're hiking or something like that. So I'm going to start out with one that I just absolutely love. It's not the best radio on this table, but it's a fantastic little radio. And this is the LCraft KX1. And it is very small, really about the size of a pack of index cards. And it's just amazing. This is it can be a 4-band radio. You build it from a kit. It's got a single board inside here. It's not hard to build. And you can decide 20-40, or you can add the 80 meter module or the 80-30. So ultimately you could have 80, 40, 30, and 20 meters. And believe it or not, there's still room inside here for an antenna tuner. So there can be a tuner inside here, and this one does have a tuner. And after you put all that in there, there's still room for 6 AA batteries. So how those guys crammed all that into this little radio, I guess it's really, Wayne Burdick of LCraft and Eric. But this is an amazing radio, and it puts out about 3 watts or so. If you use it with AA batteries, lithium AA's, you'll probably get about 1.5 watts, something like that out of it. But it's a CW only radio, Morse code only. It's got a key jack, headphone jack, an antenna jack, and a power jack if you want to power this from an external battery, which I often do. It's one of the greatest things about this radio is it's got an RF gain control. Now, I probably should talk about that in another video. But when you have your RF gain cranked up all the way, you've got the noise floor cranked up all the way. So if you have a really noisy condition, you can hear that station, but a lot of noise along there with it, turn down the RF gain to where the noise floor drops away, and what you're left with is a quieter, but still the signal itself instead of the noise and the signal. Try that, see if you don't think that makes a world of difference. Just everything about this rig is amazingly well thought out. Metal case, the build quality is great. You build it yourself. The little LCD here, I don't have batteries in this one, but it's a little LED display here, and you can move rapidly with the VFO knob, or you can push it and move more fine, have finer control of that. But it's just super. It's also got a filter here. You can, use it wide open with, 2 kilohertz and run it down all the way to 500 hertz and just really tighten in on that signal. RF gain, I love it. Of course, AF gain is volume. It's even got a little lamp. If you turn on this light, I don't have the batteries in it, but there's a little lamp here that will light up your table. So if you're logging in the dark, they've even got a light built in. Now, you'll notice that this radio has its knobs on the top. This is what is known as a trail-friendly radio. Trail-friendly meaning that you don't have the knobs like you have this. You've got it like this, so you can set it in your lap. So with this thing just sitting in your lap, you've got access to all the controls up here up front. So really cool. I can't say enough good about this. Actually, I hate to admit this, but I was at a ham fest and somebody else had one of these for sale, and I bought a second one. I didn't need a second one. That's how much I love this radio. I guess I should also mention that in addition to the CW that you can send, it'll also let you receive lower sideband and upper sideband, and receive outside of the bands where you're transmitting. So I guess I should quit talking about this or it's going to be a super long video. But this fantastic little vacation rig, if you just want to take something to kind of stay in touch and listen, just have fun listening while your wife's reading a book or something, you can play radio and just hear what's going on. If not, play radio yourself with some CW. LCraft KX1, fantastic. Okay, here's the LCraft K1. This is a 5-watt radio. You can generally get 6 or 7 watts out of it, but remember this is QRP, so 5 watts, no cheating, thank you. Great little rig, very similar to this internally, I mean, as far as the receiver and all the functionality that you've got with it. There is no RF gain on this. There is an attenuation button, so you can punch in the attenuator and knock down the noise floor. It's also got 3 crystal filters. So every time you hold this button down, you'll cycle through the 3 filters to tighten the bandwidth to be able to filter out the signals on each side of what you want to listen to. It's got receive incremental tuning, transmit incremental tuning. Very, very similar, but this has more power, and it's more like a little radio. This is trail friendly. It's really cute. This looks like kind of like a standard little radio that looks kind of normal, but you do build this yourself as well. I'm sure you can find a used one, but there's 3 boards inside this. There's only 1 board inside the KX1. You can also add the antenna tuner inside here, which I did. You can also add a noise blanker board, which I also have. And believe it or not, there's still room for batteries in here. This thing can run off internal batteries as well. I tend to have an external battery that I carry along with me and just plug it in so that I don't have to worry about whether my battery's going to run out, and I get maximum power out of this thing. But K1, really, really cute little radio, fun radio to build. And if you build one, you'll never get rid of it. And it's just so much fun. And it's not very big, right? I mean, the KX1 is smaller, but the K1 itself is very small. So you can easily put this in a backpack, carry it around in your briefcase, whatever. If you're traveling, maybe on a business trip or a vacation. It's Morse code only, I should say that. But it sure is a lot of fun. Both to build and to play with after you finish building it. So, LCraft K1. So I guess I should show this over here. I'm trying to have a second camera over here so I can kind of show some close-ups. This is what this looks like. Very cool little radio. Okay, I'm going to save this one because this is my best QRP radio. Next, I want to do something a little different. This is a Flex 1500. I'll show it over here in this camera. And this is a software-defined radio. With this radio, your computer kind of does the heavy lifting. And all it takes is a USB cable, just USB 2.0. And any computer that you've got that's been built within the last 5 years or so will have the horsepower to run this. It uses Power SDR software that's free. You can download it from the Flex website, flexradio.com. And it's got a mic jack, headphone jack, and a key jack for Morse code. This is Morse code only as well. It puts out 5 watts, but it puts out 5 watts on all of the bands, 160 meters through, I'm going to get this wrong. I think it might be through 6 meters, 50 megahertz, but it may stop at 10 meters, I'm not sure. But this is very cool. The radio itself is very small. And with a netbook or a small laptop, you can stick this in your backpack and run a display. I'm not sure if you can see my monitor back behind me. This monitor up here is running my Flex 6300, running the Smart SDR software, which is very similar to Power SDR. They look kind of similar and they work similarly. And it's very cool. It's a very low-cost way to get into software-defined radio. It's a great little QRP radio. You can get these used any day, every day for about $500. And the software is free. Plug it in with a USB cable into your existing computer and you're good to go, and you're having a lot of fun. The software that runs these things is amazing. You can just find a signal and literally just take the mouse and grab the edge of the signal and drag it to decrease the filter so that all you can hear is just that one station. You can get rid of anybody around it. It's just truly amazing. So Flex 1500 QRP radio, good way to get into that. Now I will warn you, and this is I'm saying this tongue in cheek, but it's not a joke. If you buy this used for $1,500, you are going to love it, but it's a gateway drug. You get this, you might want to buy a used Flex 3000, maybe about $1,000 used. That'll give you a full 100 watts and an antenna tuner built in. And from there, you might love that enough to buy into the new 6000 series. I got the 6300. It's the least expensive of the three 6000 series radios at this time. So be careful, because this is a game changer, and it might cause you to sell a bunch of your traditional kind of gear and to go SDR. It's really cool. All right, next is a Yaesu FT817, and this is a really interesting radio. Kind of a classic rig. It's been around for quite a while, but you can see how small it is, and it's got not only all the HF bands, but it's got VHF and UHF. So if you want to stay in touch with your local guys on a repeater while you're out, you can do that with this. There's actually two antenna jacks. There's this small one up front, and the radio does come with like a little whip for 2 meters and 70 centimeters. And there's also an antenna jack, just an SO239 here in the back. So this is actually like a full normal kind of radio, except it only puts out 5 watts. So you can talk on it, you can do digital modes on it, you can do Morse code on it, and it works just like a big radio, but it's limited to 5 watts. Now I do have to say this. This radio, the FT857 radio, and the FT897 radio that you may be able to see back there, these radios are, I would say, much maligned. They're not really considered to have the greatest receivers. And I would say that for the FT817, if you're doing Morse code, put in the 500 hertz CW filter. There's a mechanical filter that you can put in here. It makes a world of difference, because this radio doesn't have digital signal processing. So you're hearing the whole, 2.5, 3K of bandwidth. So you're going to hear multiple Morse code conversations while you're trying to talk to somebody. You'll hear a low tone below you and a higher tone above you. If you drop in a mechanical filter inside here, it tightens it all down to where you're in Morse code mode. You can put on that narrow filter, and it really helps a lot and makes a big difference in this radio. This radio has an internal battery. Now, the internal battery that comes with the radio is not great, but you can buy an external battery for it, a 3 milliamp lithium-ion battery that goes in here. It comes with a charger, and it also, you can get this little stand with it. So if you get that, prop it up, it makes it so you see it easier and work it better. This is a neat little radio. And you can buy this used all the time for $500 or so too, about the same as you'd pay for this. It's full featured, has VHF, UHF, which so far none of the radios we've talked about has that. I only brought this out here because this is the FT857. It's the big brother of the FT817. This has a full 100 watts, and it has a few more buttons, a little bit more functionality here on the front than this one has. You kind of have to go to the menu a little more often on this one, but it's very, very similar. If you're familiar with this radio, you'll already know how to work this. If you know how to work this one, you know how to work this. You also know how to work the 897 if you have one of those. I just brought this out here to show you if you're in a situation where you either need a couple of more S units in HF, or you want like 30 or 40 watts instead of 5 watts of VHF, UHF, the 857 is not a bad radio. Now, it is quite a bit heavier. It has the full 100-watt amplifier in here. It's got some heavier components, whereas, they didn't have to do that. So you can kind of see this difference in size. It is significant. The difference here inside, I don't know if you can even see that. Probably not. But this one's thinner, much lighter, smaller. But this is a full functionality rig. They claim it's the smallest, HF, UHF, VHF radio on the market, and it is very small. And it does work. Now, a while ago I told you it was much maligned. There's something interesting about this radio that you probably don't know. I don't know why, but Yaesu, instead of calling it the preamp, called it IPO. I think it's interpoint optimization. Who knows where they got that? But if you go in here and you'll turn on IPO, it turns off the preamp. So you get a bunch of noise. It's a noisy receiver. You're not happy with it. Go turn on IPO to turn off that preamp and get the noise floor down. Also, it's got an RF gain controller here on the front. You can choose whether or not this controls RF gain or squelch. But use that RF gain trick I told you about a while ago. Take that noise floor and use RF gain to turn it down to where the noise goes away and you're left with just a pure signal. That'll help a lot. Okay, last and best. This is the LCraft KX3. The LCraft KX3 is arguably, you know what? It's not arguable. This is the finest QRP radio ever made. Now, if you have a $10,000, something or other, it may theoretically beat this radio as far as receiver performance. But right now, the Rob Sherwood engineering chart shows the KX3 up at like number 2 or 3. In other words, this is like the second or third best receiver made in the world ever. It's just amazing. Inside this radio is, the full, all the HF bands down from 160 to 6 meters. And it also this one has an internal antenna tuner. It puts out 12 watts max. You can also get an amplifier for it if you want to get a full 100 watts. There's a matching amplifier. There's also a matching pan adapter that you can put so that you can actually see the waterfall, kind of like you're seeing. Well, whether or not it's in focus or not, it's probably not. But with a little pan adapter, you get the waterfall. This has a fantastic receiver. It's so well thought out, so well engineered. It's amazing. The Aries group that I belong to, we had a monthly meeting today, and afterwards we were working some portable, and I think 6 of us were standing around in a group of about 9, and all the 6 of 9 of us had these KX3s. They're just fantastic little radios. Also has a room inside here, believe it or not, for a battery pack. You can run this thing on, say, lithium AA's, and take this on vacation, take it out, put it in your backpack, whatever. It's not nearly as small as the KX1, but it does everything, digital, voice, and Morse code, and has 4 times the power, roughly, than this. And which, if you saw that first video about why QRP works, something having 4 times the power means you're going to have 1 S unit more signal on the other end, right? So not necessarily a great thing, but sometimes 1 S unit can make a difference. I can't really say much more about the KX3. You probably already know about this. Maybe you've even got one. If so, fine job. You did a good job. But LCraft just really hit the ball out of the park with this radio. And if you're thinking about getting one on the fence, jump off the fence and get this. You will not regret it. It is a fine piece of equipment and just a pleasure to use. So I hope that is a little bit helpful. I've given you my opinions on some of the more popular QRP radios. I do have an Oak Hills Research radio that I'm going to build from a kit. It's just sitting in the box. All the parts are, and still in the box. I haven't built it yet. But I think it's the OHR 100 40 meter radio, CW only. Maybe I'll show that when I get that built. But anyway, I hope that helps a little bit. If you have any questions about any of these radios, drop a line in the comments. I'll be happy to help, give you my opinions, or help you operate one, whatever you need. So I guess that's it. Thanks.